RAYGUN. She took the world by storm. Did this breakdancer set out to make a statement, set out to do some performance art to garner all the attention from around the world? But what was the reason why? Is she a bad person? Was she part of a secret plot to steal some other athlete's spot? Was this all just a joke? Or was this just some sort of elaborate arty scam? Was this a hard-working, earnest athlete? Or was this a woman full of narcissism and ego looking to stoke the flames and make a statement for her own benefit? We're going to find out today on What You Might Not Know. So when I first saw this, I just couldn't take it seriously. Why is there an Australian woman in a PE uniform that teachers wear, dressed in a do-rag, and coming out and breakdancing with the athleticism of a potato? I didn't know what I was looking at. And initially I reported this on my shorts channel, but I just watching it, I just couldn't believe that this was Australia's best breakdancer. There had to be no way that it was possible. Now, no one would be thinking that if she came out and she was earnestly performing, but her performance was so bizarre that so many people were sitting there scratching their head going, is this real? And if you wanted to watch the other performers in the actual games, there was a Japanese woman who won the category. She was absolutely fantastic, mind-blowingly good. All the other athletes were quite fantastic, to be honest. As soon as this performance, I love using the quotation marks, performance happened, the media in Australia were quick to jump on board, initially joking and laughing about it, and then the media later on took out that everyone was cyberbullying her and making fun of her. Australia's Olympic chief Dimission and Amirs came out, and this is what she said.
On social media with trolls and keyboard warriors, and taking those comments and giving them airtime has been really disappointing. She is the best breakdancer female that we have for Australia.
So she said there was cyberbullying, there's harassment, and she said this was Australia's best breakdancer. And that could be further from the truth of what we saw on the day. There's no way that she'd be Australia's best breakdancer. She might be the breakdancer that was selected for Australia, would be the best way to put it. And the media reported that it's part of Australia's culture. In Australia, we have this culture called have a go. It means like go out there and try your best and see how you do, right? That would be fine if it looked like she was taking the event seriously. But when you're doing the sprinkler and running around the floor like Homer Simpson and throwing your hands for the air and falling down on the ground and coming back up again, hopping around like a kangaroo or a rabbit, that's obviously not taking it seriously. And that's why people have such ire about what she did. So I'm going to just dive a bit more into it so we understand who is Dr. RAYGUN. That's right, she's a doctor. And how did we get in this position? So Rachael Gunn is a 36-year-old lecturer at Macquarie University and a B-girl. She had her PhD thesis titled Territorializing Gender in Sydney's Breakdancing Scene, a B-girl's experience of b-boying explored the intersection of gender and Sydney's breaking culture. As you can see with my own mouth, what I just did, it was an absolute word salad to say that. So what does it mean? Rachael has been active in the breakdancing scene for some time. She took it upon herself to intellectualize the sport or the actual culture and scene of the art. And this provides her with funding from the government to continue doing her studies. So if this is a full-time job and her passion is breakdancing, surely she would have enough time to focus on her Olympic performance and give it proper attention. Unless she was some sort of wizard where she could be this PhD and university lecturer during the day and at night be a absolute phenom spinning around on her head. But it didn't seem to be apparent in the way she performed on the day. So you might be asking, how did she qualify? And you might have seen some rumors circling online about this. And me personally, I was skeptical too, because it just didn't make sense when they're saying this is Australia's best breakdancer. Something wasn't adding up. So some of the rumors online were her husband was the judge. She started the breakdancing organization and rigged the judges so she could get a spot. So what is the truth? Did she rig the system? These were the accusations. So we're going to watch this video now and react to it.
Held accountable for their roles in the breakdancing debacle. Breakdancing, being such a niche sport in Australia, didn't have a formal governing body. So Rachael Gunn took it upon herself to create one.
Okay, that's false. She didn't create a body to actually do this.
Breakdancing included in this year's Olympics. However, her actions appear far from ethical. She appointed herself as the head of this newly formed governing body.
she didn't appoint herself the head of that governing body either. Turns out that's false.
Her husband took on the roles of both judge and coach for the qualifier.
Her husband wasn't the judge for the competition, but he was her coach. Now, her going to the Olympic Games on taxpayer-funded money to go and compete and then go and have a holiday after it, which she did with her husband being the coach, even though he's not on the team, might be some sort of unethical bounds to that, but there's nothing there just to say that there's anything unjust in that situation.
The most disturbing part of this story is that Rachael Gunn allegedly blocked genuinely talented breakdancers from underprivileged communities from even participating in the selection process.
So there's nothing else to state that that's true either, which I'm going to show you in a few moments, but essentially what happened was the announcement of the qualifying, then being a selection, and then the actual games turning up. It was only about a month period. And to qualify for that, you needed to be a member of 3 different organizations, and you had to have an active passport as well. And I think a lot of the other people who were trying to compete in that, there was much better dance, as was reported by other breakdancers in the scene. You need to have money, you need to join all 3 of these different bodies. You also need to have a passport. And there's a lot of breakers that didn't have a passport and weren't able to afford the amount of money and the time period to compete to go into the Olympics was only having a month period. So it was poorly organized all around. There's no specific wrongdoing. However, opportunistically, she's been in the scene for a while. She would have known about the event and she went out to decide to compete. So there's nothing wrong in that regard.
The move seems calculated to create an environment where only she, her friends, and her husband had a chance at making it to the Olympics. As a
Not
result,
true.
it appears she secured her spot in the games by essentially eliminating the competition, many of whom were far more skilled. Videos of these other dancers show their talent is undeniable, which raises serious questions about how Rachael Gunn made it through while they did not.
There are other videos of the other athletes and they are quite good. So it does seem a bit confusing. So it's not true. She didn't create a breaking group. Her husband wasn't a judge. He's a coach. And she didn't block breakdancers to qualify. So how did she get in fairly? Well, Leah Clark, who's actually part of the same breakdancing groups, she's an Australian B-girl, and she spoke to the media and explained this specifically. What she said was that there was a limited pool of athletes to choose from. Clark says there were a number of technical factors that stopped many of Australia's best B-girls from trying out for the Olympics. The Oceanic qualifying event in Sydney in 2023 was really a quick turnaround, and participants had to register with 3 different bodies to compete, have a valid passport, which is said many B-girls didn't, and they didn't want to shell out hundreds of dollars to do so. It all resulted in poorly attended qualifiers. And she said there wasn't even enough B-girls to fill the top 16. So the reality is there were better athletes. And basically, Leah's point is that she got in fair and square, and a lot of girls missed out on opportunity, and frankly, the talent pool isn't big. So if she's the best person for the job, then that's totally fine, as long as she actually commits and tries to win, right? Well, this is where it gets a bit complicated. Dr. RAYGUN, as we call her, she said she took this seriously. This was a real big, serious thing that she did. But Leah Clark is a member of the B-girl community, and there's other girls as well out there, which I could find their posts on Instagram, have not been in agreement that she did take it seriously and that this was some type of stage performance or something to benefit her. This is the first time that breakdancing is on the Olympic Games. And there was a lot of scrutiny leading up to this, saying that these people aren't really dancers, this isn't really art, this isn't really a sport. When it came down to this being on there, this is the chance for these people in this community to see this person we picked is going to go on the big stage and represent us. Seems like it's actually for a performance art piece rather than the reality of it. And what did Leah Clark say? Well, she said, it's really affected us. We've got B-girls in tears about it. She's been a B-girl for the last 24 years and runs a dance performance space in Brisbane. And she said, how do I go to work now and try to get our sponsorship and get our grant money for breaking programs for a sport that's just been made a mockery of? And how do we go and represent our country at the other world level events when Australia's been made a fool of? And this is actually affecting us on a much larger scale than just the memes. To be honest, on a personal level, I was a little disappointed in some of the choices that she made. I was wondering why maybe some of the coach hadn't stepped in and kind of looked at what she was doing. So if she's coming out and saying that, then that's telling you that she knows there's intent here. So what does RAYGUN think? about her performance and what she was doing. NBC News said, although RAYGUN is popular in her area, especially considering her background in breaking academia, she seemed to have known that she was out of her league. She told reporters that after her performance, I was never going to beat those girls in what they do best, the dynamic and the power moves. I wanted to move differently, be artistic and creative, because how many chances do you get in a lifetime to do that on an international stage? Well, yes, you are on an international stage and you are going to go out there, but doing the sprinkler, doing this move, doing bunny hopping, doing Homer Simpson running around on the floor, that's not taking it seriously. And that's not trying to take a creative element on it. And if other big girls in the community that know she's going for this style know that she's taking a mockery of it, then we know that she's not realistically giving it a proper performance. Think about her moves. Spinning her arms forward like this. Kangaroo hopping. A sprinkler. It's ridiculous. She placed last. She got 0 points. She didn't even score a point. So why did she do this? There's a number of reasons I can come up with in my head, but I think we have to dig down into her academic research to have an understanding and perspective as to why. So one of the academic writings that she's done, which you can find online, and if you want to spend time reading it, knock yourself out. But let's just read a quote from one of her articles where she was basically explaining how breakdancing could be bad for the Olympic Games. We argue that breaking's institutionalization via the Olympics will place breaking more firmly within sporting nations' hegemonic settler colonial structures that rely upon racialized and gendered hierarchies. So basically what she's trying to say is that breakdancing, it's an official sport in the Olympics, then it could be controlled and shaped by the same powerful structures that historically have favored certain races, such as white people or males over females, and then that these systems and structures of settlers' colonialism, which is what Australia is founded on, a colonial society, going from place to place and taking over the indigenous people's art and culture and space. This is her argument, and she's saying that if breakdancing gets into the Olympics, then we're reinforcing all these unfair power structures. So if she thinks that, and that she's going to the Olympics, then for her, what better stage to prove all that by making a mockery of it? She knows that going onto that stage will get her so much infamy, attention, and essentially validation in what she's trying to create. It's quite ironic because sports aren't political statements. Maybe in a specific sport you can make a political statement, but when it comes to the Olympics and you've been selected to win the games, you're picked as the, supposedly meritocracy, picked as the best athlete to go out and represent the country in the games, then you would think that picking the best person is going out there to represent the nation. But to go out there in protest is essentially what it looks like. If people criticize you for that protest, then you can pull the victim card and say, oh no, I did the right thing. I was just trying to go out there and try my best and have Australian spirit. It looks like that was the case from the surface, but when you start to dig deep, you can see that's not true. So a couple other reasons why I should be doing this. It's clear to me that this is a statement. What's the intention of the statement going in? Based on her research, it might be to create the exact ironic conditions of mocking that breakdance is becoming mainstream and supportive of these colonial and gendered systemic issues. So here's the opportunity to dismantle that, write a paper about that, and make a huge name. All right, prop up your career. And she probably knew she's going to look so bad online and receive all this hate. So this would help her so much with creating a PhD in writing and legitimize herself further as an academic. If you go out into an Olympic sport and pretend to just muck around, then obviously people are going to criticize you. And look, if this was some local or national competition, this whole performance wouldn't have mean anything. Be like, okay, you went to the local games and you put in this performance. Okay, cool. Great. But when you're representing a nation to go out there and to be the best, even though you were fairly picked for that system, there's other people that miss out. And the people that actually watch that get to see it and go, oh, okay, this is our best athlete. This is just a mockery. The absolute height of ego, narcissism, and self-centered interest to go out there and try to make a statement rather than actually win. It just flies in the absolute opposite idea of the Olympics. This isn't the participation award ceremonies. This is the Olympic Games. How we also know it's a bit of a joke is just wearing the ridiculous outfit. To get up there and dress like a PE teacher with a do-rag on, spin around and do the sprinkler and flop on the stage, it just shows that she knew what she was doing, yeah? And the irony is when you focus on how colonialism and critical race theory is such a bad thing, and she's using them against themselves by creating a mockery of it during breakdancing, isn't it to make some point to dismantle these structures is actually a protest and ends her own self-interest that she benefits from? And I just think walking up and just looking so smug and then pointing over and over and over again to the Australian coat of arms, which is essentially Australia's national emblem, it's showing that it's supposed to be a mockery. And the thing I assume in all of this is that she calculated there's going to be some grant money, she calculated there's going to be some attention, but she probably didn't expect this level of scrutiny and infamy. So what we need to do now is just unpack her reaction, because everyone started to give her all this sort of hate online. There was a petition to look into her and investigate her. So it's important for us to actually see what her response is. Right, let's watch her response now.
I want to start by thanking all the people who have supported me. I really appreciate the positivity, and I'm glad I was able to bring some joy into your lives. That's what I hoped.
I'm glad to bring joy into your lives. Okay, that's fair, considering everyone thought it was so funny and such a joke. So that's true. That was a successful thing.
Opened the door to so much hate, which has frankly been pretty devastating. Well, I went out there and I had fun. I did take it very seriously.
Why would you start the statement with, I went out there and had fun? Wouldn't you start it by saying, I went out there, I tried my absolute best, and in the process I had fun? But starting it with, I'm out there to have fun. Competing in an Olympic sport isn't about having fun. It's about going out there and trying your best.
I'm going to be in Europe for a few weeks for some pre-planned downtime. Everyone has been through a lot as a result of this, so I ask you to please respect their privacy. I'll be happy to answer more questions on my return to Australia.
She said, I will do media requests when I return to Australia and to give me privacy. Now, this could be an attempt to instigate a bidding war about who's going to get the most exclusive scoop on everything she's gone through. She's sitting there smiling the whole time. And the feeling I get is if something was seriously affecting you, all this cyberbullying, this hate, you'd be sullen-faced and sad and upset. But instead, she's smirking the whole time. And it feels like she knows she's coming back to Australia, that there's going to be all this money, this attention, this notoriety, and she's aware how good things are going to be for her. So who suffers in all this? Who is the real victim of this? And it's people that actually could have went to the Olympics to actually represent the nation in the sport. Now, whatever pre-planning and stuff like that went into it is a debacle. It looks like breakdancing isn't even going to be in the next Olympics anyway. And the breakdancing community does suffer as well, because they're not legitimized as a sport when there's someone going out there and doing this sort of statement. People don't believe that it's real. The Olympics is about representing your nation on the world stage, trying to win. Taking her approach of turning up and having fun, but not taking it seriously. It's just an attempt for her own personal gain, which she succeeded in doing. And my thoughts on this are that she knew she had the platform. She knew that the whole world was watching. Now, maybe she didn't think it was going to be this big, but she knew she could do something that was going to benefit her, given that she got the spot. And as a parent with the attitude of, I'm not going to go out and win or try to compete with these girls who are athletically better than me, I'm just going to do sprinklers and bunny hopping and running around on the ground like Homer Simpson and expect to win. It's obvious that she was making a statement for her own personal gain. And it's so easy to hide behind victim status when it comes to art and subjectivity, because you can just change your approach at the end and say, oh, that was always my approach. I was always meant to do that. How we know it's not true is because so many people in the community have come out and have been incredibly embarrassed by her performance. If no one comes out and actually questions why she's actually trying to do this for her own gain, then we're really just playing into her narrative that this really was the best way she could compete and perform. But after seeing a performance and seeing the whole world react to it, there was actually different hip-hop artists like Nas and Dr. Dre that come out and decried her performance because it just made the sport look like a mockery, and I totally get it. From an Australian perspective, for that to be our best athlete, try to win us a medal when instead it's not about you going out on the stage to win a medal, it's about her going out to the stage and her grants, her attention, the fame, all coming to her, then we know the real scam wasn't, oh, she set herself up and put herself into all these different things to get into the Olympics. No, it's she opportunistically got the chance to go into the Olympics and decided not to compete, but instead decided to do whatever she wanted to do that was going to benefit and help her. So that's what you might not know, episode 2. And before you go, you might want to check out my interview with a woman who wanted to have a relationship with her parents' murderer. It's super interesting, super insightful on human nature and how we idolize people in our lives. You can check out that video right here, and I will see you next time.